So this week, I'm sure you heard about JD Vance, Donald Trump's horrific VP picks, awful statements where he says childless cat ladies are big threats to our democracy. And then he gave other interviews where he said that parents who don't have children should be punished and they should be taxed at higher rates. And then he went on to make a number of other very misogynistic comments. He went on Megyn Kelly's show and then said, yeah, I meant what I said. And then he said he apologized to cats. And one of the things I think we've been seeing is Vice President Kamala Harris has soared ahead now that she's at the top of the ticket as the Democratic presidential nominee. And as we've seen Donald Trump's meltdown, we've got to focus on how weird and creepy these MAGA Republicans are. And, you know, what JD Vance has been saying is what all these MAGA Republicans say over and over again. It's just corporate media refuse to cover it. We've always been covering it here on the MeidasTouch network. It's not different than what they say on their shows every single day and what their main influencers and podcasts. This is the message that's reinforced over and over again. I'll just give you an example. Charlie Kirk, who's one of the main MAGA influencers, this is a main theme of his shows where he talks about his disdain for childless cat ladies. He repeats it over and over again. Here, let me just show you, for example, the types of things that he says. Here, play this clip.
The childless are the ones that are destroying destroying the country. You can be good without children, but if you're bad, you probably don't have children. That is my rule for the decline of the West.
Here's another clip of him saying that single cat women have bad politics. Play this clip.
I get attacked sometimes for saying that single cat women they have bad politics. People say, how dare you say that?
Right, and so this is very similar to what the VP pick, JD Vance, for Donald Trump said on Tucker Carlson show. It's like it's the same language here. This is what JD Vance said. Play this clip.
But look, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? I just wanted to ask that question and
by the way, you have MAGA Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, who would get a very high up position if Trump were to ever be elected again. She could become the Secretary of State, or she would get some cabinet level position. I just want you to reflect on that. She's been giving all of these interviews, and she says the same things, where she calls non-biological parents fake moms and fake dads. Here's an example.
So let's talk about children. Children are in the greatest danger in America today because traditional family values are being destroyed. Mm-hmm. The idea that mom and dad together, not fake mom and fake dad, but biological mom and biological dad, can raise their children together and do what's right for their children. Raising them to be confident in who they are, their identity. Their identity is they're a child, made by God.
And then during a congressional hearing, Marjorie Taylor Greene attacked the leader of the teachers, one of the main teachers union, Weingarten. And I just want you to watch what went down in the congressional hearing. And the Democrats were like, "What are you doing?" You may remember we covered that in real time when that took place, but this is the language that they're using. JD Vance is just saying what these MAGA Republicans have always been saying in public. Here, play this clip.
Miss Weingarten, are you a medical doctor?
I am not.
Are you a mother?
I am a mother by marriage.
By marriage, I see.
And my wife is here with me, so I'm really glad that she's here. Rabbi Sharon Klein.
Miss CDC, as not a medical doctor, not a biological mother, and really not a teacher either. So what you did is you advised the CDC.
Mr. Chairman, that's a
excuse me, this is my time. People like you need to admit that you're just a political activist, not a teacher, not a mother, and not a medical doctor.
Gentlelady's time is expired. I now recognize Mr. Jordan from Ohio for 5 minutes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make note that the decorum of the attacks on the witness were unacceptable that the gentlelady from Georgia just did. And so it'd be nice if we didn't attack the witnesses, particularly when making a decision about whether or not she's a mother. You are a mother. Thank you for being a great parent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your point of order is recognized, Mr. Garcia.
A point of
Now
order.
recognize Mr.
Point of order. Given that his point of order is recognized, and given that that was not just cruel personal attacks to Ms. Weingarten, who loves her children, it is reflective of the cruel personal attacks to any adopted mother or father who love their children. So I would kindly ask that those remarks be taken out of the record, for the sake of all of the parents who have adopted a child and love them dearly and see them as their own.
It was not a violation of the House rules. However, your point of order is recognized. I now recognize Mr. Jordan.
And so there's a big conference that they have, that these MAGA Republicans have, that's led by Charlie Kirk, the person that you just saw before. And it's called the Turning Point USA for Women. And Charlie Kirk gives these speeches, and he tells, and they try to recruit young girls to show up. And then he tells them how they should behave. And this is what he says to them this is what he says to them at these events that people like JD Vance and these MAGA Republicans organize, where he says, look, if you have cats and no kids, you're going to be miserable. This is what Charlie Kirk says. Here, play this clip.
Here's my piece of advice. Go try to spend a couple days with babies, and if it doesn't move you to want to have some of your own, then go do the surgeon thing. I mean that. If you don't get baby fever being around young kids as a young lady, then you kind of have your answer. But if you're around a young child or a young baby, or like all of a sudden something greater than yourself gets activated, or all of a sudden you feel maybe a prodding by the Holy Spirit, then you got something to think about. But look, you could potentially do both. You could become an orthopedic surgeon and still do that. But there will be a lot of people that says, just put the family thing on hold and put that on hold. I just want to caution you, a reality is that there are a lot of successful 35-year-old orthopedic surgeons that have cats and not kids. And they're very miserable. Most of the radical left is largely being run by childless young ladies, young women that are in their mid-30s that are super miserable on antidepressants, because I think they're missing something, which I think that they're missing one of the most fulfilling things. So you might not be feeling that, or you might be designed in a way where you might not feel it at all, but I encourage you to try to lean into that if possible. And there's nothing wrong with being driven to your career, but I'm career driven, but my relationship with God and my family come way above my career. And I think all of you guys should have that exact same thing. If you so desire, if you want to just say all career all the time, maybe it will work for you. But the evidence is overwhelming. That will lead to an empty life. And then you got to ask yourself, why do you want to be successful, right? What is it? Is it material success? Is it a title? If that's the case, then that will never actually bring you ultimate fulfillment. It might bring you, the actual practice of doing it could bring you fulfillment. But so pray about it, think about it. I'm not here to tell you one way or the other, right or wrong. But I also want to make sure I tell you the truth, that the cautionary tale ahead of you is that if you say, I never want to have a family, I never want to have kids, I never want to get married, that could change by the time you're 28. Things can change very quickly. So explore it, think about it, pray about it. And my own 2 cents is that I think you'll find a lot of joy if you ever decide to get married. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Just so you can see for yourself, Charlie Kirk is very close to Donald Trump. Donald Trump gives him shout outs all the time, and Charlie Kirk's like his main Gen Z outreach. This is like the main Gen Z MAGA messaging that's out there. Here, play this clip.
Miss Weingarten, are you a medical doctor?
I am not.
Are you a mother?
I am a mother by marriage.
By marriage, I see.
And my wife is here with me, so I'm really glad that she's here. Rabbi Sharon Klein.
Miss CDC, as not a medical doctor, not a biological mother, and really not a teacher either. So what you did is you advised the CDC.
Mr. Chairman, that's a
excuse me, this is my time. People like you need to admit that you're just a political activist, not a
Gentlelady's
teacher,
time is-
not a mother, and not a medical doctor.
Gentlelady's time is
I
expired.
Yeah.
I now recognize Mr. Jordan from Ohio for 5 minutes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make note that the decorum of the attacks on the witness were unacceptable that the gentlelady from Georgia just did. And so it'd be nice if we didn't attack the witnesses, particularly whether and making a decision about whether or not she's a mother. You are a mother. Thank you for being a great parent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your point of order is recognized, Mr. Garcia.
A point of
Now
order.
recognize Mr.
Point of order. Given that his point of order is recognized, and given that that was not just cruel personal attacks to Ms. Weingarten, who loves her children, it is reflective of the cruel personal attacks to any adopted mother or father who love their children. So I would kindly ask that those remarks be taken out of the record, for the sake of all of the parents who have adopted a child and love them dearly and see them as their own.
It was not a violation of the House rules. However, your point of order is recognized. I now recognize Mr. Jordan.
By the way, if you want to see how Weingarten responded to what Marjorie Taylor Greene said after that vile hearing, here, just take a watch at this.
But it's just a matter of the undermining of people, the undermining of trans kids, the undermining of the other. And so I felt like I was taking one for the team, but the vile homophobic nature of it was pathetic. And the undermining of families was pathetic.
So as you can see, I mean, that behavior is creepy and disgusting. Here's JD Vance when he went on Megyn Kelly and he tried to he explained why it is that he said that, and he apologizes to cats. Listen. So he doesn't apologize to women for his statements. He apologizes to cats. And then this is what he says as well on Megyn Kelly. Play this clip.
Obviously, it was a sarcastic comment. I've got nothing against cats. I've got nothing against dogs. I've got one dog at home, and I love him, Megyn. But look, this is not, people are focusing so much on the sarcasm and not on the substance of what I actually said. And the substance of what I said, Megyn, I'm sorry, it's true. It is true that we...
And again, he's somebody who is posting photos of women or dolphins and women, and that's what he's searching. There's a reason why now that more people are looking on Google for JD Vance and dolphins than, any other thing. I want to share this with you, though. This is Senator Brian Schatz and Chris Murphy, both senators. And here's what they had to say about just these really creepy ideas that these MAGA Republicans are talking about. Here are Democrats saying that. Play the clip.
Hey, Brian Schatz from Hawaii here.
Chris Murphy from Connecticut. This is not our living room, but we're using this fake living room to talk to you about a super weird idea from JD Vance.
Yeah, it's quite weird, but it's also offensive. JD Vance actually said that people with children should be assigned more votes than people without children. And that if you have a kid, you get like an extra vote, but then you get to control that vote until they turn 18. It's weird, and it's I don't know what to say. It's just bananas.
But you have to take it seriously because it stands in context, right? Republicans are continuing to insist that government should tell you how to live your life.
Yeah, they mean this. They really do. Blake Masters this morning just said, yeah, I agree with that. If you don't have children, if you've lost children, if you're unable to conceive children, if you're 18 and you have not yet started a family, they are saying your vote will count less. It's mean.
It's sort of unbelievable how judgmental the Republican Party has become. If you choose to have children, you should be able to participate in our democracy. If you choose not to have children, you should be able to participate in our democracy. But Republicans have just decided that they're going to tell you how to run your life. They're going to tell women when they can have children. They're going to tell you if you have children or if you don't have children, how much your vote matters. The sort of dictates from Republicans to people in their personal lives is just pretty unreal.
Take it seriously and fight back.
I'll just show you one more clip here of JD Vance so you can compare and just see how creepy these ideas are by it. Play this clip.
I'll go back to something I said earlier about we need to reward the things that we think are good and punish the things that we think are bad. So you talk about tax policy. Let's tax the things that are bad and not tax the things that are good. If you're making $100,000, $400,000 a year, and you've got 3 kids, you should pay a different, lower tax rate than if you're making the same amount of money and you don't have any kids. It's that simple.
I totally agree.
So I just want you to hear it in your own words that, and again, what JD Vance is saying is not some mistake or he misspoke. This is genuinely their views and their policies. And when you go, well, what's Project 2025? Those views are entrenched in Project 2025 of how they want women treated. And they want America to basically look like a religious extremist nation out there. So anyway, you're empowered with those clips and those knowledge. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.